Hey, cock 45. Glock 17 really does look small in my hand, doesn't it? Oh, wait a minute. Well, it's only 25 off. It's actually a 42. Don't pay attention to me. Oh, nice. Don't tell me I missed that vase, or maybe I just put holes in it. Let's try it again. Hey, we'll get you, smart aleck. Yeah, he cocked 45 with a Glock 42. I like the way Glock really got onto this. You know, people were requesting a small single stack Glock model, you know, maybe a pocket model. And of course, Glock got right on it and made one. Oh no, wait a minute, it was 25 years late, wasn't it? Anyway, that's what we've got. We've got a single stack pocket Glock, you could say, you could argue, and it's in 380. So we're going to take a look at it. And first, before we even start, there's good news and there's bad news. Probably the biggest piece of bad news is everybody wanted this gun. In what caliber? 9mm. You are correct. So that is the biggest negative. It is a 380 instead of 9mm. Biggest positive, I guess, unless you're a Glock hater, is the fact it's a Glock. All right, so we finally have a single stack Glock, pocket Glock, very small Glock, but it's in 380. So let's talk about it and let me show you what it looks like. The cool thing about this thing is funny. You know, a lot of companies now make little bitty pocket guns, but a lot of them don't look like they're big guns. And this does look like a Glock 17 or a Glock 19, doesn't it? It looks like you put it in some kind of machine and just miniaturized it, you know. It really does. You've got the same operation breakdown here, breaks down the same way, and it is a Gen 4. You got that Gen 4 looking spring and captured spring, I was trying to say. You know, so you know, there it is. Your little firing striker block. There's just a little bit different spot, but it's a Glock. It's interesting. It's just what you'd expect, just miniaturized. Okay. And one of the things we want to do today is show you how small it is or how large it is, okay? And we're glad to have one, by the way, early on. And we thank Bud's Gun Shop for getting this to us. It was here before we even got back from SHOT Show. So that was nice. That was really nice. We appreciate that. Let's put it back together. And it goes back together the same way that all these babies do. Now you notice I've got some, you know me, it does have a thin grip, very thin, and I shot it some without the grip. It has the serrations or the little dots. It's got some roughage on the grip, but the grips, the Talon grips, always make them feel better to me. So I kind of cannibalized and Frankenstein some that were meant for a Glock 26 and wrapped them around there, so it's not too bad, and they fit okay. And I understand they're coming out with them very soon if you like to, you know, to add grips to your Glock. So, with all that said, what is this thing? It is 380. I have fired 100 rounds plus, about 150 I guess total of different sorts of ammo, and I dug around and found what I could. I have fired several magazines of Blazer and it worked. Okay, I fired several rounds of the PPU, several mags of that, it worked. Same with Lawman. I haven't fired any PMC yet. I found that box though, thought I would. Fired a couple of gold dots, got some ancient ones there, and worked with those. And even fired some buffalo bore. Bought those yesterday, and I love buffalo bore. If you've ever used these, you know, it doesn't matter what caliber it is. They put them in the same containers. It's funny, 380 in these big. You could put a 500 Smith & Wesson in there, couldn't you? I'll get those out later, but I just wanted to let you know I fired everything that I could get my hands on. Okay, and it fed everything. I had one little bobble I'll tell you about with the buffalo bore when we get to that. Let me go ahead and load a couple of magazines that I have. I put a mag pouch on here just so it make it a little bit more convenient. Generally speaking, you're not going to wear a big mag pouch probably carrying this. This is a carry gun. It is 380, and hey, you know, I don't want to get too much into the politics and the caliber religion and all that. Well, will we not try it? We haven't tried PMC yet, so we'll try that. That's one of the things I want to do, try different ammo and let you all, you know, see what works or what doesn't work in it. But you know, the arguments between 380 and 9mm, whether 380 is powerful enough and all that sort of thing, go on forever. It is a weaker cartridge, you know, than of course you know, 9 or 40 or 45. But it's a gun, and there's arguments for it. There are a lot of cool little firearms chambered in it. We have some of them out here. Dug out all my 380s and to do some size comparison. By the way, there's this myth out there, and correct me if I'm wrong, if somebody can prove me wrong, but for years I've had to correct people on these 380 Glocks that are in existence before this one, the Glock 25 and 28. They just couldn't import them into this country, and they're made mainly for countries where you could not use the military cartridge. You know, civilians couldn't, the 9, you know, generally speaking, so the 380 fit the bill. But those are the size of the Glock 26, which is this gun, or the Glock 19. They're big guns, okay? I think the 25 is the same size, it's the same gun as the 19, and the 28 is the same gun as the 26. They just did a little bit of a modification to make it more of a blowback gun, okay, because it's got a heavy slide. And you shoot a 380 in it, so it's not the lock breech, as I understand, but it's the same gun. That's what it is. And for years, I think a lot of people have had this idea that guns like this are circulating all over Europe, and Glock would just not, you know, let them or send them to this country, or could not, whatever the situation was. But that's really not the case. They're the big Glocks, the 26, the 19. We consider those big. Compare with this, big, yes. So this is the smallest Glock that they have made, to my knowledge. If you can show me one, be glad to see it. Okay, so I wanted to talk about that myth a little bit, because it really is a myth, I'm just pretty sure. Now, I did cover up the little bit of texture you have there, but it's not quite as aggressive, by the way, as it is on some of the other Gen 4s. I don't have a Gen 4 Glock out here. And the serrations, one of the negatives of this gun is, and they did it intentionally, they wanted it smoother, but we're clear. The serrations are hard for me to get a good grip on. I like to have a little bite there, and there's really no bite, so that's a negative for me. Okay, Glock 42. It's let's do a little bit of size comparison before we go on and take some more shots. Here's the LCP. Just stand them up here a little bit. They're different shapes, but see how they compare. Okay, you see, I'm gonna get them even back there. Okay, the 42 is longer, quite a bit. Okay, and I guess the 42 is also a little bit taller, you know, you'd say. Okay, so the LCP is very small. Let's also put the this is the P380 from Car, and it is, I'll stick the magazine in here so we're apples to apples, line those up, and the Car might be the most, the best quality firearm, at least heretofore, in the 380 lineup. It's hard to beat. Let me lay it on top of it here, see if that tells you anything too. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so the 380 Car is a fine piece of equipment. It is, and it is much smaller, isn't it? It is much smaller, much shorter, and they both hold, I think it holds 6. Let me double check. This is John's mainly, so yeah, so that is the difference right there. Okay, now on thickness, we'll do some thickness comparisons. Let's go ahead and shoot the thing. So it's bigger than a Car, it's bigger than an LCP, and it's a 380. All right, my ears on. All right, let's see if I can hit anything like a 2-liter. All right. That rascal. Well, I'll have to decide whether to let him survive or not. I'm not sure where to hold exactly, but I'll figure it out. Okay, looks like pretty much right on. Yeah, I tell you what, it's a soft shooter. You know, that's one of the positives because it's a 380. It's a very soft shooter. You know, there'll be a lot of, let's try a different ammo. That seemed to work. Let's try some more Blazer. The fact is 380 is, that's the elephant in the room. You've got a firearm here that looks like it ought to be a 9, but it's 380. So what can we say positive about the fact that it's a 380? Can we think of anything? One thing is that it's a very, very soft recoiling firearm. It's very pleasant to shoot. I mean, it's nobody would be bothered by recoil. Sometimes these little pocket guns like this, or guns this small, pistols that are in 9mm, are pretty snappy. I think we all know that. Yeah, so that definitely is a fact. It is an incredibly soft shooting firearm. Feels really good. And again, the fact is it's a 380, you can have a smaller, you know, rear to front measurement, you know, on your grip. So if you have really small hands, you know, that might appeal to you as well. So a very soft shooting, small pistol. Okay, let's see if she's going to continue to work here. Let's go ahead and throw one out there at the gong. Okay, I was going low, I think. Yeah, okay. Seems pretty accurate. By that, I mean the sights seem to be on, okay. It's really easy to shoot it to the left, I discovered. The sights are right on. With a really thin grip like that, and of course my large hands, it's very simple to pull that sucker to the left. So it's got a firearm I'd need to work with if I'm going to shoot it a few thousand times in combat. But it really is soft. I mean, I can't tell you how simple it is to shoot. It just feels really easy. Let's go ahead and, we got her dirty. Let's do some couple of hollow points. We won't feed hollow points. We don't want it, do we? I guess, you know, I say that, but a lot of pretty knowledgeable shooters, experts in the field, shall we say, will carry a hardball in a 380 because with a 380, penetration is very, very important. You know, where it's hollow points, you know, I don't know. You don't have a lot of power, so penetration might be the most important factor. But let's see if it'll feed these babies. Let's pop this guy right here. What I tell you, it's easy to pull left. Yeah. Nice little pistol, nice little shooter. Feels pretty good. Now let's try a couple of these. I'm getting pretty expensive here, aren't I? But these buffalo bore are supposed to be really some of the best, you know, cartridges. Oh, he's got some wide mouths on them. If you want a hollow point, mainly I'm just showing that it will cycle them, or seeing if it will. And as I was alluding to earlier, I've shot one magazine of these and they worked fine. The first time I pulled the trigger though, the slide stayed back on me. It didn't hang up. It wasn't, you know, the next round wasn't hung up on the feed ramp or anything. The slide just locked back. I was just noticing though, I think maybe I could have, I don't know, but I could have gotten my thumb against the slide lock as I was shooting. I would have to watch that. If you got a long thumb, my knuckle hits right at that. And it feels comfortable to shoot that way. It sort of helps prevent me from shooting left if I get my thumb up there. And with the recoil, that might be what I did, okay? Don't know for sure. Let's try it again. I'll watch my thumb more carefully. Try to avoid that. I'll stick it out. So. Well, did it again. That wasn't my thumb, for sure. See, we don't have a malfunction. We just have, well, I guess you'd call it malfunction, but the round did not hang up on anything. Okay. So it did it on this first shot again, didn't it? So whatever that's about, I don't know. I might mark that magazine while I'm at it, just to see if that's what it is. Okay. No, that's weird. So it's the round that's in the magazine, the second one up, did that both times. All right, so maybe you know more about buffalo bore ammo, although it wouldn't have anything to do with the wide hollow point mouth on it. It would have to have something to do with the, well, what would it have to do? The power factor of it or something? I don't know. These are, that's the only thing that I've had a little bit of an issue with. These are, what, 90 grain, 1175 feet per second. Okay, so that's the only one that's not done that with me on. Okay, let's try something different. What else? I guess we've tried all these others. Let's try a few more of these right here. So before we do that though, I know one of the most important things is not, it does shoot fine. It's a sweet shooter. It seems to be right on, and we'll shoot it some more. But let's look at the weight, because one of the things I know you're most interested in, I know I was, I don't want to overdo the shooting here because we've got really more important matters to look at. And one of those is weight. Okay, especially if you're going to put this in your pocket. And I have had it in my pocket for 2 or 3 days since we got back from the West. And this is actually a pocket holster for the PM9. So it doesn't fit perfectly, but it fits okay. I mean, you know, for the way you carry it, it wants to slide out, but it covers the trigger guard and everything, you know, when it's in that position. So it's okay. I want to get another one from Alabama holster if I can for this. So let's compare the weight with a couple of different firearms here. Okay, 13.78 ounces. Okay, and I'll tell you what it weighs fully loaded. It weighs right at a pound. It's like a 1/4 ounce over. Okay, so it's under a pound. I just messed with 13 something there, you know, with nothing in it, just the magazine. 13, almost 14 ounces. Okay, let's do a couple of these other firearms that a lot of people have. Little 380s. Got the LCP 9 3/4. Okay, that is very small, very light, isn't it? The LCP, hard to shoot well, but it's very small, very light. And we got the P380, 11 3/8. Again, yep, 11 3/8 ounces. And again, the Glock 14, so it's a little heavier than that. All right. So you've got a little bit bigger gun, good bit bigger and heavier in a 380. So if size is the most important thing, you know, these two firearms right here are smaller and lighter. Okay, this one is bigger, it's longer, it's maybe easier to shoot well, grip's a little bit longer. The grip's not much longer. Okay, it's that slide that's longer in the barrel. Okay, now I've got the PPKS and these out mainly because they're 380s. And I mean, if we weigh that sucker, look what we get. 1 pound 6 ounces. That's the old classic. See what the Versa weighs. It should be a little bit lighter. It's over a pound 580. There's no ammo in these. So they weigh more, they're heavier. Okay. And that one I like to compare it with is the PM9, because, you know, I carry the PM9 a lot. You know, it's a really handy pocket gun. It's about as big as I want to get in terms of weight and everything. And it's a 9mm. So when I think in terms of whether I would want to carry that or this, I have to look at, okay, the weight and the size, because I can carry this thing in 9. It goes in my pocket just fine, you know, in that holster. It does okay. And these are jeans. Now in a baggy cargo, shorts or pants, even better. Okay, so that's a 9mm. Okay, and that's a quality firearm. So let's look at the difference in the size first, because this is one of the comparisons I have to make. It's thinner. It's a little longer. The Glock is. Okay, it's longer. Yeah. Well, let me just lay them down there. And I'll put the calipers on it. The PM9 is actually a little thicker. One of the things I was curious about was the thickness of the Glock slide. And at SHOT Show, you can handle a bunch of them, and it's kind of hard to tell unless you've got your other favorite firearms with you, you know. But let's take a look at the thickness, because that is an issue if you're talking about a pocket firearm. And the overall thickness here, I'll go ahead and catch the frame there. There's your PM9 thickness. Okay, and we'll catch the whole thing. Now you see the difference, if you can see that. There's quite a bit. This Glock is very thin. It's longer, but it is very thin. It is definitely a thin Glock. I don't know if I've compared it with the P380. Now we move down to, this is again, I was comparing it with the PM9 9mm. Now we're with the P380, which is a 380, of course, car. Let's see, on thickness there, I would say they're about the same. Okay, it's touching. Put it on the Glock. Had to open just a hair. So they're about the same. The Glock might be just a tad thicker than the P380. Yeah, Glock's a little bit thicker. So these two are fairly close in thickness, but the length dramatically different. So there's the argument a lot of people will have. Wow, if I'm going to carry a 380 pocket gun, I want something really small. A lot of people think that way, and you know, it makes sense. This is a big gun for a 380. Be great if it were 9, if it's shot well and it would function reliably and everything. I don't know. So, size-wise, the other thing I had somebody on a comment said something about, I think on Facebook. So yeah, it's about. It looks like a Glock 26. You know, not at all. Not at all. Look at this. You put it up with the Glock 26, and you know, just kind of glancing at it, it might look similar in the profile. There's not a lot of difference in the length, maybe. The 26 is just a little bit longer. The grips are not all that different. But when you look at those slides, that's where you see the story. You know, makes the Glock look big, or makes the 26 look big, doesn't it? It's like a Glock 30 or something in terms of thickness. So just to show you that real quick, here's the, and I always consider these fairly thin, and I'm just capturing the slide there. And you see the difference. That might be one of the most telling measurements right there for you, because most of us know what a Glock 9 or 40 looks like. Now, if I capture the slide or the frame, it's even more dramatic. I captured the frame there, see, on the 26. So there you go. You got a much thinner firearm. All right. So you got a pound basically when it's loaded. Okay. Let's shoot a little bit more, and let's see. We tried about everything. Let's go with some Lawman here again. And what else about this thing that I've had it for about 3-4 days here. I've shot it, and it's a soft shooter. It's a easy gun to shoot. It really is. It feels fine. I don't know what that is about the Buffalo bore ammo. What's going on with that? Because I did not hit the slide lock here today on video. I doubt that I did earlier when I was shooting it. So that's perplexing. It's especially perplexing with a Glock, because you know, Glocks, I've never had malfunctioning issues with them. Might have something to do with the power factor of those rounds or something. We might try that again, see if we can do it again. All right. Now I'm using a stealth gear inside the waistband, which is for the XDS, but it kind of fits all right. It's a little loose, but not much, because it's thinner than the XDS, but it you know, just fits okay, because this, you have contours with your body like that, so it's just a way to carry it. All right. Let's actually put it in the pocket holster, because that's the way I would carry this firearm. If I'm going to put a pistol on my belt, it's going to be at least a 9, probably a 40 or 45. So I think I did not make it hot. Let's see if I did. I don't like those serrations. Okay, trigger's covered with a pocket holster, very important, especially with this one where it's a little bit loose. So put it down in there. Okay, so gravity's going to keep it in that. All right, so it's 380, but beats a hammer. As I always say, it beats a sharp stick. Not going to knock those arms around it at 380. Not bad. Let's try these buffalo bore one more time just for kicks. Shoots fine. I mean, it's designed for up close and dirty. Even at long range, it seems like it's it's on okay. So I'm just going to couple of these, see if I get that to happen again. Because everything else has been working just fine. Don't mean to bash buffalo bore. I've used their ammo before. It's good ammo. Just something about it in the Glock. In this particular model, you might want to be aware of. Let's see, and I marked that magazine, didn't I? Yes, it was the other magazine. We'll see what happens here. Okay. Now keep my thumb out, away from that gun. Okay, didn't do it that time. Maybe it was a magazine. So, pretty cool. One thing we didn't look at, I got all this stuff out here, but that's what I wanted. I wanted to show you a lot of different ammo, and I wanted to also compare with all these firearms. We didn't compare it with the XDS, did we? Okay, there's the XDS. Wow, makes the XDS look big, doesn't it? But now the XDS this one is 9mm, and it's not necessarily a small miniature firearm. Okay, so you can see the difference there. Tried to bring out firearms I had, or John has, but firearms that most of you are familiar with to some extent, and so just gives you a better idea of the size and thickness. You can see again, there's your slide. This again is an XDS, 9mm to the left, and then the Glock 42 on the right. So you see it's a very thin gun, no doubt about that. Makes the XDS look big. So it's all relative, depends on what you compare it with, The XDS is a really sweet shooting firearm, but it is heavier and it is bigger, and so you get that. If this gun were chambered in 9, this exact firearm, it might just be fine, but I'd say it'd really be snappy because it is light. Again, it's a pound, fully loaded, it's a pound, okay, right at a pound. So it would be a very snappy firearm. So who knows, maybe they've got one on the drawing boards in 9 coming up, coming out soon. So nobody knows. It's hard to get information from Glock, right? So at least we are happy that they have produced something like this. A lot of us have been wanting something like this for a long time. Yeah, it's 380. So again, that's the big negative maybe. But it's a Glock, and Glocks tend to work. Unless you hate Glocks, they're reliable and they're pretty desirable, amongst a large group of shooters. So it is a Glock. And again, the only time I've had any trouble was with that buffalo bore in that one magazine. So I'll experiment further with that, and I'll keep you updated on that. Well, I'm not going to shoot 5,000 rounds of buffalo bore, but I'll be shooting a lot of different ammo and let you know if we have any problems with anything else. So again, we appreciate Bud's Gun Shop sending this thing to us, and I don't know when I'd have gotten one from Glock. I would have eventually, but it was great to go to the SHOT Show and see these things, and then be able to come home and fire one, and then bring my impressions at least to you on it. So Glock 42, hope that gives you a little information, and we'll do some more shooting with it and probably drag it out again one day when it's above 25 degrees, hopefully. Life is good.